Trust the prospects. Trust the prospects. Yeah, baby. Oh, yeah. World Series in 5 years. It's happening. Yes, sir. Maybe. We shall see. Tony Del Grosso, Kyle Gaffner, they are back. I'm Adrian Fedke. We just wrapped up a Giancarlo Stanton show. Now we're talking about the future Phillies. Some prospects. Yeah, it's the prospect show. I'm sure you guys are a lot more interested in the prospects than the actual team that's on the field right now.
Yeah, a lot more talent down there.
Absolutely.
Yeah, a lot more talent down there in the minors. This is the future right here. This is what you look forward to. And it's looking pretty bright if everything pans out. But as we all know, baseball is very tough to project, and it takes a while to get up to the majors.
Yeah, realistically, most Philly fans have been looking at the farm system for the past couple of seasons now. So hopefully we're about to finally see the fruit of some of these guys, I guess you could say. But we'll see.
Just how good is this farm system right now? Because last year they kind of talked them up. The Phillies were kind of ranked number one across the board. Now this year it seems like guys are falling. Crawford's falling. Everyone's falling. The sky's falling. By God. So what are your guys' thoughts on all that? Where does this farm system kind of rank?
I still think we're top 5 at least. I wouldn't go to say we're number 1. I'd still give us – you know what? I'd still give us number 3. I'd say we're the 3rd best farm system in the entire MLB. Guys will drop and go up, but it happens. It's just the game of baseball. You got to adjust. Games aren't always consistently going to play unless you're a superstar, but a lot of the times you have to adjust. It's a mind game.
Oh shit! Sorry.
Your phone's blown up on the show.
I think it's still good. Yeah, probably still top 5 or so. I think the difference is there's a lot of depth in it, but it lacks those handful of
superstars.
Not that there's ever a can't miss guy, but it lacks the those really elite handful of prospects that you look for. But overall, there's depth at almost every position, certainly outfield.
Mm-hmm.
I'll ask this question then, because you just said it, like no elite prospects. That actually makes the Giancarlo Stanton potential trade make even more sense.
Yeah, it would. And you knew at some point by drafting all these guys, you don't potentially keep them all the time. You use them in trade. You use them as trade bait because you can't have everybody coming up and playing to the majors. So, and you look at the outfield position, that's our deepest position out of all of them. So
all right, we'll start with the outfielders. So we'll start with them then, if they're
all these guys aren't going to make it to the major, so you're going to use some of them as trade bait. I think the untouchables obviously are probably Mickey Moniak and basically Cornelius Randolph too. I feel like those 2 guys would be the young building blocks out of the minors that we really aren't going to trade. But I think everybody else is basically fair game at this point.
Yeah, to have a Sam Hinkie shout out here. The Phillies have assets right now, particularly in the outfield. And let's hope all of them keep performing well and they're able to trade some of those guys for other positions of need, namely starting pitching.
Yeah, you're not kidding about that. All right, so some of the guys in the outfield that we're about to discuss and some of the main ones. So you got Dylan Cousins. We've got Nick Williams. He's come up for the Phillies. He's actually playing really well for them right now. We got Moniak, the top pick from last year. Hazley, the pick from this year. And Cornelius Randolph, like Kyle said. So out of all those guys, and I'm going to include Aaron Altair here too, which one of those guys do you think is the best and has the most potential moving forward?
Ooh, man, the best potential moving forward. I think you'd have to kind of say Altair, right? Just because of what he's done and his resume. He was a later prospect. He wasn't really thought of as anything, kind of made the jump from Double-A all the way to the majors and kind of took it by storm.
I'll say that, yeah, unless Moniak develops in a 20-plus home run potential, then Altair, because he's the only guy that, other than Moniak, would be legit 5 tools. The other guys certainly have skills and have things they bring to the table, but they have deficiencies. Moniak and Altair are easily the best defenders out of that group. both get on base the way you'd want to. Both can hit for a good enough average. Right now, Altair obviously hits for more power, but Moniak is 19? He's probably not even 20 years old yet, so that power can come.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would think Moniak's probably the guy with the most potential, considering he was the #1 overall pick. But
although I will say that Cousins has crazy power. So if he's ever able to figure it out a little bit, because he's still only 22, I think, 22, 23.
Yeah, he's young.
Then I mean, he has crazy potential too, but he's never going to be, an elite defender or anything like that. He's never going to hit 300.
He's never going to hit for average, but he has the potential to pop 40 home runs a year if he can just cut down on that strike, on the strike to walk ratio. It's not terrible, but it's not great. I'd really like to see the strike zone a lot more. When I watched him last year, coming up from AA to AAA, he just chased so many pitches. He looks like he guesses more than he really knows what the pitches are coming in. I mean, he's a big body guy. He's a two-sport player, much like Aaron Judge and Giancarlo Stanton too. He just hits for crazy power. If he can be able to just look at that strike zone and hit for a little bit of average, I mean, we got a stellar prospect right there.
Able to hit 35, 40 home runs a year and still get on base, 33% of the time or better, then that's a pretty darn good player you have there. And yeah, like you were saying, he's a better athlete than people give him credit for, so he's not going to hurt you defensively either. Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about the future and who might be the 3 outfield guys for the Phillies. Now, this is probably difficult because you got a stock of like 6 guys to choose from, 7 guys. I mean, you're going to be talking about one of these really good prospects being on the bench.
But yeah, potentially. Randolph, I think, would probably have the best bat out of all these guys just because he sees the strike zone really well. He has the potential to hit for 30-plus homers. He's going to be a ribby guy. He can really knock the runs in. So I definitely think he will be the best bat out of all of them. Then you have Moniak. He's going to be the on-base guy, the speedster, gets on base, can steal bags. They all have got great arms, too. And you think about Cornelius Randolph, he's transitioning from the infield to the outfield. So it's not his original position. He's still learning at that aspect. So defensively, he still needs a lot of work there. And we've seen this with Adubel Herrera. He has made that transition.
Yeah, they got Adubel Herrera, too. It's like, geez.
I don't see him in the future, honestly.
They'll probably trade him, yeah.
Yes.
I think Herrera's trade bait.
The same with what's-his-face as well. The center fielder, his name is slipping me. He's always hurt. Roman Quinn.
Right. So you wanted the
who are the 3 guys? So
those guys?
Like Moniak, Altair,
and Randolph.
It really.
Who's your?
I'll say if I had a gun to my head, it would be Cousins in left, Moniak in center, and Altair in right. Although
you got a little bit of each there because you got the defense with Moniak and the hitting. Altair brings a little defense too with some power, and then Cousins is just like Joey Gallo.
I think that's the best comp you could have for Cousins is Joey Gallo, just an outfielding Joey Gallo.
Yeah. So we'll have Joey Gallo, Christian Yelich, and Aaron Altair in the outfield.
Right.
If they don't trade, and then if we trade for this is where it's interesting. If they do trade for Stanton, and then they do chase after Bryce Harper, then all those prospects you're talking about are going to be trade bait to try to get starting pitching. So they really have to figure out, are these guys in their plans for the future, or are they going to try? Are they positive they're going to land these big name players?
It to be Stanton in left, Altair in center, Harper in right.
Yeah.
That's
the dream.
That's a dream scenario. No, that's definitely not going to happen.
Well, I'm saying if they were able to trade for Stanton, get rid of, Moniak, a bunch of those guys we just mentioned, but still keep Altair, and then sign Harper.
Yeah.
But I definitely think it would be like, Moniak, and I think he might be a left fielder, to tell you the truth, Tony, because I think the natural position for Altair is center. I think he can play all 3.
I actually agree with you on that. The only reason I think they want Moniak in center is because the Phillies just want Moniak in center because he was, #1 overall pick type of deal. But right. No, I do think, that Altair is just as good, as not better outfielder because Altair has a freaking gun. Altair's just a really, really good outfielder.
Yeah, he glides out.
Yeah, they do. They're gazelles. I mean, they all got great arms, and I would have Nick out and right because I honestly think Cornelius Randolph might move back to the infield because Franco is not in our future plans either, and he could play some third base.
Well, Franco, we'll see. We'll see about Franco. But now we'll move to the infield. So the big guy at first base is Rhys Hoskins. Now, why isn't he up yet? He's going to be like 25 next year.
He's being blocked. He's being blocked by Tommy Joseph.
Shit. Bring him up.
Yeah. Well, what they don't want to do is they don't want to hurt Rhys's potential by platooning him is what they don't want to do. So they want to give it to him, and I think they want to give some credit to Tommy Joseph as well and not platoon him either because they both have the potential to hit. And this is the situation that happened with Ryan Howard when he was here, when Jim Thome had been here. We waited 3 years too long to bring Ryan Howard up because he was being blocked by Jim Thome. Same exact situation. We got to try to move Tommy Joseph to get Rhys up here because he is killing it. He doesn't belong in AAA. The kid is going to be a surefire stud.
Yeah, it's a tough situation right now because Clentac is trying to balance kind of sort of showcasing Tommy Joseph and trying to get something of value in return for him. But they know that Hoskins needs to be up, and Hoskins is going to be up soon. And Hoskins is certainly the future at first base. It's just that Joseph has shown enough where it's like, yeah, there's something there. He has a little bit of pop. Joseph would be a good DH in a platoon type of role on an American League team. You know, if he's hitting left-handed starters, he could still probably pop 25 home runs a year type of deal.
Now, how much can you actually get for him? I mean, he's blocking Rhys Hoskins. So he's blocking the motherfucker. How much can you actually get for Tommy Joseph? Is it worth it?
For a 25-year-old with the power he has, you'd think he'd be able to get a lot more than they're going to.
Well, you could package him. I think they got to package him to really get the value for him. But straight up, they're not going to get anything for him.
Right, kind of like what the White Sox just did. If they package him and Neshek and maybe even what's his face, Kendrick, then maybe you could get something of return. But realistically, the Phillies don't really have anyone that's going to get them back like an A-level prospect.
No.
Even if they decided to get rid of Hernandez, even if they decided to trade Franco, he's not going to get that back in return for you right now.
True.
So they're not going to get any game changers, unfortunately. Hopefully they find a diamond in the rough type of deal.
Well, we not necessarily might not need a game changer. I mean, look what we got with and we'll talk about him too. Eshelman, he wasn't a top tier prospect, but he's really been a nice player. You never really know.
True. That's a very valid point. I mean, was a throw in the Rangers to Yankees deal. Robinson Cano is going to be a Hall of Famer. So
yep,
always happens all the time.
Yep. Just your scouting has to do its due diligence, and hopefully a little luck is on your side too.
I'm looking at his strikeout to walk ratio, dude.
Oh, it's amazing.
Big power guy like that, that's incredible.
Yeah, he walks just as much as he strikes out, and he's
ridiculous. That's not even fair.
It's phenomenal.
To me, he's the best Phillies prospect they have, hands down, right now.
Easily, and he was a 5th-round pick.
Yeah.
Just like Ryan Howard.
He's hit for power. He's hit for average at every single level. I mean, I don't think he's ever going to be a great first baseman, but he's not like he hurts you over there. I mean, he's never going to steal bases like Paul Goldschmidt, but, I mean, Paul Goldschmidt is probably the 3rd best player in the league. So
he's a stud. He's a stud, and that's the player comparison. He reminds me of Goldie to a T. Just his build, the way he can hit for average, he can hit for power, he can spread it all over the field.
Yeah.
Rhys Hoskins. All right, let's move on to second base now. Scott Kingery, obviously the name there. Now, another one of these things, it's like, well, why the hell isn't he up yet either?
Well, we got Cesar. He's coming back off injury. He's not a terrible prospect, so he's
Trade Cesar, please, and get Kingery up here.
I don't know. I don't think Kingery's really ready to play in the majors yet. I still want to see him prove himself at AAA before we really bring him up to the majors. We still have a really solid second baseman in Cesar Hernandez. who, if you look at the numbers, we were doing a lot better with him hitting at the top of the lineup, versus him not being there. So he does affect the game for our offense a bit, and he's not a bad defensive second baseman either.
Yeah, I think it's a similar situation to the Tommy Joseph one. They know that deep down Caesar isn't the future at second base, but he's also not terrible, and they know they could potentially get something back for him. I think the injury to Hernandez actually hurt Kingery because now he's in even more of a showcase mode where it looks like I think Hernandez will at least be the second baseman for the rest of the year.
Yeah. Kingery's not going to come up, unfortunately, but, dude, this team is so fucking bad. Why aren't these guys up? That's what boggles my mind.
Well, you don't want to rush them, though,
I don't give a fuck.
You don't want to rush them.
Yeah, for what?
Hoskins is going to be 25. That's not rushing. That's Ryan Howard. That's what they did to Howard.
That's what they did to Howard. That's what they did. But remember, Adrian, baseball, your career lasts.
Come up. This is ridiculous.
Again, that's what they did with Howard, and they ended up winning a World Series with Howard. People act like that was a mistake.
Well, he should have been up a couple years prior to him being.
All these guys that they wrote up, Howard, Utley, Rollins, they all hit the floor running and were pretty darn good from the gate. There was very little rookie and sophomore ups and downs with any of those guys. Howard won the fucking MVP in his second year, right?
Yeah. It's
not without the game.
Doesn't happen normally.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't. That was just we hit everything in stride, right?
Right. And a part of that was because of Tomei and Tomei blocking Howard and Polanco blocking Utley, and Rollins came up early, but there wasn't a huge learning curve for him either.
Yeah, he was a beast, and there was nothing on that team at that point.
The Phillies are 32-61. That is a joke.
They're terrible. They're absolutely terrible. Yeah. So look at it, though. Why bring them up here? Don't you think it would kind of hurt their morale? I bet you Nick Williams was happy that he made it to the majors, but he's on a losing organization. He was much better. They're potentially going to win the championship. Nick Williams
would much rather be in fucking major
Triple
league.
Triple A. I don't know, man. You're winning in Triple A. You're going for a championship. Why would you want to come up to you're playing in the majors, but you're not playing for anything?
Are you trying to say the Lehigh Valley is a boring place to live?
Yes.
I'm hurt.
I'm terribly, terribly hurt.
No, definitely any of those guys would rather be in Philly, but
okay, I should have named the show.
I don't know, man.
I get what you're saying.
Would I rather be in the NBA or the D League? If the fucking Fresno
way different.
Whatever their team name
way
is,
different.
Would you rather win a D League championship or be up with the big leagues?
Completely different.
It's the same thing.
Different. It can completely ruin his development. It can completely ruin his development. Okay, you're up to the majors. It's exciting. It's exciting.
Getting great right now. Doesn't seem like it's hurting his development that much.
Okay, he's been up there for what, a week and a half, 2 weeks? Just give it time. Okay, and he starts to, his game starts to change a little bit. Am I really going to work really hard if we're not playing for anything? Why? Send me back down to AAA. At least we're playing for something. There's team morale. There's nothing going on here in Philadelphia.
I don't know, man. He's been waiting his whole life to go to the big leagues, dude.
Yeah, it's a great call-up, but he can be sent down at any time.
Chocolate-covered bacon in fucking Lehigh Valley.
I would rather be playing on a winning team. He could get called up again. He could be sent down again, too. So,
yeah.
Look at all the guys that have been called up, made their major league debut. The Phillies have been the top organization that have the most call-ups and then being sent back down out of any team in the MLB. They've had, 12 guys in the past year that they've brought up and then sent back down. It's been such a revolving door.
Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs win a fucking championship this year. Do you think any of us fucking really care?
I am paying more attention to the Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs than I am the
Phillies. But seriously, in 10 years from now, are we going to be really reflecting back on the 2017 AAA fucking champions, the Lehigh Valley Iron?
I don't think that partaking in the AAA playoffs and whatnot is really huge for their development for Dylan Cousins and Rhys Hoskins and Nick Williams. Would it be kind of cool? Sort of, but it's still not like they're tasting the Major League Baseball playoffs. It's
But we're not playing for the playoffs. That's the thing. You're on the worst team in baseball. Nobody's watching you.
Yeah, so you're still learning against guys in the show. Yeah. I still think you're there learning more being up there than being in a playoff race in AAA.
I'm talking for a whole morale thing.
Now that he's part of the big leagues, he's going to get so much pussy now.
Morale.
He's going to get pussy now. Like, why would you want to go back down?
Well, he's got a hot wife, so.
Oh, does he? Okay.
Yeah, he's got a hot wife.
That shows how much I know about Nick Williams.
He's married. He's like 22. What's wrong with him?
Yeah, he's pretty hot. It's pretty hot.
I'm not gonna get into that. But
I don't know. That just seems strange to me. Like I'm a fucking kid that 22-year-old kid that's been waiting my whole life to get to the big leagues, and like I don't know. That just I want to play for the Phillies, not for the fucking Iron Pigs.
It's great that you have your MLB debut. You finally made it there, but it could easily be taken away, as fast as you got called up. He starts playing bad, they're going to send him down. Who's going to say he's ever going to make it back up there? I mean, it's great to make the majors, but if they were on a playoff team, do you think Nick Williams would have made it up there? No. If they were a winning organization, Nick Williams wouldn't be playing on the Philadelphia Phillies right now.
Well, obviously.
Well, exactly. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, look, you're on an awful organization.
That doesn't make sense to me.
What?
It doesn't make sense to me.
I'm kind of lost, to be honest. I'm not really sure what we're talking about.
Well, basically, I think Nick Williams would prefer to be in the big leagues, and Kyle thinks Nick Williams would prefer to be in AAA.
I'm not saying that. I think you're just move on. I don't feel like explaining. We've gone way too far onto it.
I think at this point, already in AAA last year, he had like 600 some at bats in AAA. So yeah, I don't think he's gonna learn a lot more in AAA. So.
Well, he did learn a lot more.
What I was trying to say is like he would rather be on a winning team than a losing team. But I think being in the big leagues, like, it doesn't matter. Like, you're on one of the fucking big league teams. I would rather be in the bigs than be on a winning team in Lehigh Valley.
Yeah.
Let's see if I can find some comments. Actually, my chat might be disabled. Because, like, something's fucking up with it. Okay, so whatever. Fuck it. All right, we're going to move on. JP Crawford. We're talking about JP Crawford now. That's what we're doing. Tony just died. I don't know what happened.
Hold on.
All right, we're talking about JP Crawford now. Now, he went through some struggles, which is why he's fallen on the prospects list. Like, he was up in the top 10 last year, wasn't he? Now he's like in the 90s. So
he's in the top three.
Yeah. So what are your guys' thoughts on JP Crawford and his future?
I don't think it's as in question as many people say. The people for Baseball America come out and said that he's not even really considered an impact player anymore, that he doesn't deserve to be in the top 5 of the top. What is he, like 95 or 92 or something? He's dropped 80 spots from last year. The guy has struggled. He's flown through every single A, double A, triple, or up until triple A, he hasn't struggled. So he's kind of flown through every what is the word I'm looking for?
Every level?
Yeah, basically every level. And so he's going to struggle. Okay. And he's still ahead of where he's supposed to be. Most guys that play in AAA are around 24, 25 years old. So he's still really ahead of the curve. And his still walk to strikeout ratio is still very, very good. So he's not hitting for average. He's not hitting for power. I don't really – it doesn't matter to me. The guy is still going to develop into a player. Is he going to be a superstar? That's still yet to be seen. But I don't think they should be down on him.
Personally, I'm still pretty high on Crawford for a couple of reasons. Basically, you just said he still has like elite plate discipline. He walks just as much as he strikes out. Hard to find and really valuable. His average this year is like 220, 230, but his on base is still like 320, 330, which again isn't.
Well, he's been picking it up lately. Like he struggled last year in AAA. struggled to start the year, but he's actually starting to hit the ball better.
Right. Ever since that article came out that said he wasn't elite prospects anymore, he's hit like 5 or 6 home runs in the past couple weeks.
Mhm.
Personally, yeah. I mean, do I think he's going to be, better than Carlos Correa? Well, no, but I still think he's going to turn out to be a pretty darn good shortstop. Once he just gets bigger, I mean, he's still rail thin. He looks like a basketball player out there. Once he gets bigger and stronger and just learns how to drive the ball better, you're going to see his average go up. His on-base percentage is going to skyrocket, and I think he's going to turn into almost what we expected him to.
I think the problem is they expected him to be Jimmy Rollins because the path that he had taken, he came out of high school, he flew through every level, and he just kind of hit a speed bump.
Yep.
Yeah, Jimmy Rollins might end up in the Hall of Fame one day, so we should pump the brakes on that for JP.
Yeah. I want to see what he's like hitting in the last. I don't know if I can split it up this way, but
his numbers last 3 weeks are really good.
Yeah, I'm trying to find. Here we go. Let's just give me his like July stats or something. Okay, here we go. So in this month of July, hitting .262 with 6 homers, 11 RBI. So basically, wow. So he's had 8 homers all year. 6 of them come this month.
Yeah, so he's raking at this. I mean, that kind of gave him a little motivation, lit a fire up under his ass, basically. Maybe that's what he needed.
Well, with that elite plate discipline, the one thing that he will be doing that Rollins never did was take pitches.
Yeah.
I mean, how many times did we see Jimmy lead off, little pop up to the outfield?
So frustrating.
Yeah, he's a different player than Jimmy. Jimmy definitely had more speed. I think Jimmy was probably much better.
Everyone likes to compare Crawford to Rollins, but yeah, they're not really that alike.
No, they're not. Really not. It's just the path they took, and they play the same position.
Just because they were shortstops from California.
Right.
Yeah. Now, who do you guys think he kind of compares to? What's a comparison you think?
Oh, JP Crawford, who's got really good plate discipline.
While you think, by the way, he's only 6'2", 180. So you said like thin frame. You ain't kidding.
Yeah, he's skinny.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, he needs to put on weight.
Oh man, that's tough. Like, I don't know. Would you say Gene Segura is a fair comparison?
Gene Segura, he's the one that looks like a penguin.
Didn't he steal like 40-some bases last year, though? Crawford's not.
Yeah, he's not really an elite base stealer.
Yeah,
he's only got 2
Crawford. It's hard to find a shortstop comparison for him. It really is.
How is he in the field? What do you guys think?
He's good. I mean, it's kind of sloped off a little bit this year, but I think that was his biggest strength coming out of high school and going through single A and double A. He was going off of his elite defense and his plate discipline because he made this one crazy play last year where, remember when Jeter did this, when he hit the ball into the almost the middle of the infield to the outfield and he threw it off his back foot? Well, JP did a little bit better. It was a lot further out, and he just gunned it to first base and got this fast base stealer out. So he got some pretty good
classic. Yeah. I don't know. It's hard to tell. Like I said, I feel like he's so far away from a finished product.
Yeah.
That,
I think it hurts him too because it just seems so easy, all the other levels that he went through, and he's just struggling, and people just expected him to be in the majors by this point. And that's why he's getting this, he's getting dogged.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what, we'll see how his career pans out. We will not be given a player comparison then because we can't figure out one. He is JP Crawford. That's his player comparison. He's going to be the next JP Crawford. So, but yeah, definitely leadoff hitter in the making right here, especially with his plate discipline and all that. So he will be, definitely penciled in as the leadoff hitter, I think.
Yeah.
Right? You think so?
Yeah, 1 or 2 at least. He's definitely going to be at the top of the order.
It kind of feels like he's the number 1, and like Kingery would be a guy that's like number 2 or something.
It depends if we hang on to Moniak. He's another guy.
Yeah.
Depends on a lot of other factors.
Yeah, a lot of other players.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to third base. Maikel Franco. Now, is he in this team's future? What do you think?
I don't think he is. It's kind of the same situation with JP. They really expected him to be the building block when we didn't really have prospects. They expected him to take off. He had improved from last year, from spring training, and you saw it earlier in the year. He had better plate discipline. He wasn't swinging at everything out of the zone, but now he's just kind of hot and cold. Some games he looks really good. He's going 4 for 4 with 4 or 5 RBIs, hitting 2 home runs, and then he'll have a game where he strikes out 4 times. So it's like you get so frustrated watching this guy. He's so streaky. I don't know if he really is in the future of the Phillies, because I really think they want to target Manny Machado coming out of this free agency class this year.
Yeah, I do think he's part of the future, but the last thing you just said there is a really important factor. If I think he's definitely going to be there every day for third baseman for certainly the rest of this year and definitely the start of next year. Now, if he continues what he's done this year, then yeah, they're definitely going to go after Machado. I kind of think they're going to go after him either way. But I guess I'm not as low on Franco as some people are. I still think there's a lot there to work with. He has pop in his bat, and I don't know how to explain it. I always thought that his ceiling was like an Edwin Encarnacion type.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you look at Edwin Encarnacion, he was not very good his first handful of years in the league, and now look what he's turned
late
into.
bloomer.
He's getting older now. I just think
wasn't Mike Schmidt a late bloomer?
I'm pretty sure Mike Schmidt hit like 176 his first year, something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, none of us were born then, but yeah, I mean, some guys just take longer than others. He didn't spend a ton of time in the minor leagues. He's still only, 23?
24.
So, yeah, is Machado an option? Absolutely. But Machado's not having a very good year either, people, if you haven't noticed. So, it just – the best thing working for him right now is that there's nobody knocking on the door pushing him out.
Yeah.
Maybe a Cole Stabby down the line, but, I mean, it's not like he's going to be ready tomorrow. So, maybe a Kingery moves to third base. We'll see. But I don't think they truly view him as anything but a second.
Well, here's the thing about Franco. We did a show about this, and we talked about like his exit velocity numbers and how they were actually up there near not near the lead, but he was in the top 50 or something.
Right.
And
right. He was
if
in
you
the
look
top
at
50
this
of
month,
velocity.
yeah. So if you look at this month, he's actually starting to climb in terms of the batting average. He's hitting 300 in July. He's got 4 homers, 14 RBI. He's got 5 walks and 4 strikeouts. Now, strikeouts was something that he was struggling with earlier in the year. So you look at some of these months. I mean, May, he struck out 16 times as opposed to only 6 walks. So, maybe we'll see as the second half of the year goes on, maybe that batting average starts to creep up because of that exit velocity number, because of the fact that maybe his BABIP or whatever the fuck that, stat is, maybe it'll kind of even out. So we'll see.
I think another thing about Franco is, I mean, obviously every player benefits from having better players around him, but he's a guy who is such a dead red fastball guy that if you put legit major leaguers around him, he's going to see more fastballs and his numbers are going to look a lot better.
That's a great point. That is a great point.
And I mean, I think, maybe he's not that 4 or 5 hole hitter that we thought he was, but maybe he's more like a 6, 7 hole hitter on a good team. I don't know. I still think there's something to salvage at him. It's definitely way too early to give up.
Well, yeah, it's definitely way too early because it's like you're selling this low. That never works when you sell this low.
And right.
Like why?
It makes no sense to trade him right now.
It doesn't. Not at all.
And don't count out Cornelius Randolph possibly playing some third base too, because they have so many outfielders, and that's his original position when he was coming out of high school. He was a third baseman, shortstop. He's got really soft hands, so that's not out of the possibilities either.
Didn't they have Scott Kingery playing third base a little bit this year?
They did.
Try an experiment.
Yeah.
And I think one of the reasons they moved Randolph to the outfield was because they were a lot higher on Crawford at that time too.
Yeah. Yeah, they were. So, and because they had Franco, because they had both of them when they drafted him 2 years ago. 3 years ago.
All right, moving on to pitchers.
Woo!
Looks a little bleak for the pitchers.
What about catcher?
Oh, we forgot the catcher. Jorge Alfaro and Andrew Knapp. Who's going to be the guy?
It's definitely Alfaro. There's no question about it. Knapp isn't the greatest defensive catcher, and Alfaro's a little better. He still needs a lot of work behind the plate, though. They're both offensive-minded catchers. The great thing about Knapp is why you keep him in a lineup, why he's so valuable. He's a switch hitter. He's got a great bat, so he's a value on the team right now. With Jorge, he doesn't see the ball very well. He doesn't have really great discipline. He strikes out a ton. He chases a lot of stuff out of the zone, but he just really, really needs to work on his defensive catching. He's got a gun behind the plate, though. He just needs to really manage the staff. And when we had such the luxury of having shoots for the past 12 years, you set the bar kind of high.
Yeah, I echo everything you just said about both guys. Alfaro is kind of just like the definition of raw. When his bat connects with a ball, it usually goes pretty far. It just doesn't connect very often. He almost never walks, which is concerning, especially for a catcher. You want your catcher to have a good idea of the zone.
Yes, seriously.
Right, yeah, and he has
silly.
a cannon front. Yeah. He's not that great defensively yet. I don't know. He's intriguing. I remember watching him for Venezuela and WBC. He had like 2 or 3 home runs, and it's like, oh, look at this guy. But you look at his numbers right now, and it's just like, whoa.
They've dipped significantly.
The only other guy that might possibly be part of the future is Devi Gruen. I don't even know if I'm saying that name right, but I know he's considered like very, very, very good defensively. Not much
offensively
of a bat.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, when you're building a team, you want your catcher to be better defensively than offensively, generally speaking. I mean, that's how most winning teams work. I mean, sometimes you get lucky and you have a Buster Posey who's great at both.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, Yadier Molina has been considered one of the best catchers of the past, 15 years, and Yadier Molina is not much of a hitter at all.
No.
So, but we'll see.
Yeah.
It's probably the weakest position for the Phillies.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on. Pitchers now. All right, so some of the guys that we thought might have been pretty good this year, well, except for maybe Aaron Nola. Nola's starting to turn around a little bit. But Jared Eichhoff has sucked. Vince Velasquez can't control. So we'll see coming down the line if the Phillies can actually throw some decent pitchers up there to the big leagues. The 2 names to look at, Sixto Sanchez and Franklin Colomé. Now, how good can these guys be? Like, it doesn't seem like they have a number 1 starter, but can these guys potentially be like 2, 3 guys in a rotation?
Tony, I'll let you take this one.
For everybody in the entire Phillies organization, from top to bottom, I would say that Sanchez and then Colomé, like just a tiny, tiny bit below him, are, I hate to say the only guys, but right now the only guys showing any type of ability to potentially be a number 1 type starter. Even Aaron Nola, I think his best would be a 2 or 3.
Yep.
The thing with Sanchez and Colomé is they're both like 19 right now. But I'm trying to get their numbers right now. I mean, the last time I checked them, both of them, their numbers were amazing. I know Sanchez is consistently the high 90s.
Remember, I think of Sixto. I think of Sixto Loscano. You remember Sixto Loscano?
No.
Former Philly?
I don't remember him.
All right, let's Sixto Loscano. Sixto. All right, I got his numbers up. So he's thrown 56 innings in single-A Lakewood, 2.88 ERA. Let's see his WHIP, .834. Strikeouts to walks. Strikeouts per 9, 8.6. Strikeouts to walks, 9.0.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Yeah, like that's. I mean, yeah, it's just A-ball, but 54 strikeouts to 6 walks. That's pretty fucking good for a 9-year-old at any level. Actually, he's only 18 still. Jesus.
Yeah. Franklin's 20, I think.
Yeah.
But the good thing is too, they're moving through each level together. They're both young, and they're polar opposites. Colomi's a huge, big, like 6'6", and Sixtos is like what 5'10", really scrawny frame too. But they both throw in the high 90s. They got really power fastballs.
Yeah, Sixto, 6', 185. I'm going to look up Colomi right now.
Colomi's big. I think he's like 6'4", maybe 220, maybe a little bigger.
We got like a Tim Hudson and a Pedro, and who's a bigger guy?
The unit. Well, not that big. He's not as big as the big unit, but he's pretty big. But they both throw in the mid to high 90s. Franklin, I know, has got a nice slider working on, and Sixtos, I believe, is trying to work on his changeup and his curveball, what have I read on him. I haven't had a chance to watch these guys play. I've only been to Lakewood once. I would like to get down there to see Moniak play as well because there's some talent down there in Lakewood, but it's pretty brutal to watch these guys because it's like watching high school baseball, basically. So there's a lot of bad plays that happen.
Colomi, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, all the probably 7, 8 guys that mostly Ruben Amaro acquired in the past couple years via selling off the veterans. Like we were talking, they're all almost carbon copies of each other. They're all these 6'5", 230 plus pound quarterback looking pitchers, and they're just all basically throw the same thing, and they're all basically not very good, and they all seem to have like a number 4 type ceiling, other than the 2 guys we just talked about. So there's some depth there, but any organization could find players that belong in the major leagues. It's about finding players that are good and that can win you games. So yeah, they have a bunch of guys who are like, all right, they're major leaguers, but
they got just a bunch of guys. Yeah.
Guys. Yeah.
Colomi's numbers.
Really cross our on Sanchez.
I got Colomi's numbers. He's pitched 80 innings, 2.59 ERA. 4-4 record, because record is win-loss record means so much in baseball these days.
Especially in single A.
Yes.
Joe Mack.
68 strikeouts, 32 walks. So it doesn't have the control of
Sixtos, no.
But dude, he's 6'6", 175. Jesus.
He's tall.
Who the hell are these trainers? Who the hell are training these kids? They're all malnourished.
He's like a right for sale.
Yeah, Chris Sale's scrawny too, and he's actually held up surprisingly.
Yeah.
And he's never put on weight either.
Yeah. All right.
He's always been like that.
So I'm going to run down some other guys, and you tell me if you see any future with any of them. Thomas Eshelman, Ben Lively, Jake Thompson, Zach Eflin, Mark Appel, Nick Pavetta, those guys. Any of them?
I think me and Tony would agree with Eshelman probably being the best prospect. Now, he has control. He's much like Nola in that sense. He doesn't have power stuff. He's a guy that paints the corners, has command of the baseball, but he's not going to blow you away with his fastball or any of his other stuff. It's just all off of control. So that's a guy we kind of snug out of that. He might be the best prospect we got out of that Giles deal now, if you look at it, if Vincent never really pans out, but there's still time with him.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. Because of his control, he doesn't walk people. There's definitely something there, and I think he'll get a shot at some point in the season. Yeah, all the other guys have been giving a little shot at least a few starts.
Yeah.
I don't know. I hate to be Debbie Downer, but I just don't really see much in any of them. Now, granted, they're all young enough where they could change, they could develop a new pitch, this, that, and the other, and they could certainly get better. But yeah, right now, really the hope is in Sanchez and Kilome.
What happened to Jake Thompson?
His control, it's horrendous. He tries to overpower with his fastball, which he doesn't have an overpowering fastball. He just kind of he tries to blow people away, but you're throwing 91 miles an hour, dude. And I just think his shoulder might be shot.
When they traded for him, I remember they said he had the best slider in all the minor leagues. I remember that being a quote from multiple different people. And maybe what you just said, he got hurt. We haven't seen that, not in the Phillies organization. I don't know what happened to it, but it's certainly I mean, it's not a bad slider, but it's certainly nothing spectacular.
No, nothing.
So that was a calling card, and it's gone now. I don't know what happened to it.
I just think he was overworked. I think he just threw way too many innings. He was just trying to throw his whole body into it and not really work on his command at all, or they didn't really try to tweak it. And I think he just hurt himself, and he's really suffered because of it. Because when he got here the first year through Reading, and even in the beginning of AAA last year, he looked really good, and it was real promising looking. And then it just all went downhill.
Yeah.
From there.
Yeah, maybe a hidden injury in there we don't know about, because that would make a lot of sense.
So you don't think he bounces back at all? You think he's just done?
He might just be a bullpen guy. I don't think he's a fourth or fifth starter like they really projected him to. I think Eflin has the potential to have. He's got some pretty decent stuff. Nothing that's going to blow you away. It's all just he doesn't do anything great. It's all pretty just average. All his pitches are average. But out of all those,
who was the first one?
Eflin. I said Eflin's probably the guy out of all those players that might have the potential to be like a back end starter.
Mark Appel.
Oh, yeah, man. He has the stuff. That's the crazy thing. He has all the talent in the world. He just doesn't know how to hone it. The dude throws a 98-mile-an-hour fastball. It's insane. But
yeah, Mark Appel was one of those guys who was a consensus number one pick. Like, all 30 teams would have taken number one.
Yep.
I mean, he'll eventually get a shot because he's been a number one overall pick. But right now, he's not even a fucking major leaguer.
He stinks. He's been he was a throw-in in that deal. It was between him and Derek Fisher, and they decided to go with pitching because we needed it, and it's kind of blown up in our face.
No.
Yeah. Crazy.
Mark Appel is who's the biggest bust in MLB history? Like, out of number one picks, is he up there?
Matt Bush.
Yeah, Matt. I mean, I think like half the number one picks in Major League history didn't even make the major leagues.
Yeah, it's tough to evaluate, man. Like especially pitchers. This is something that Kyle and I talked about before the show started. So I'll let you, Kyle, talk about that. Why is it such a tough transition, and why are they so hard to scout?
I just think it is because you look at a lot of guys, they're all starting pitching when they start their careers up in high school and even into college, but they're blowing everybody away with their fastball. The talent level isn't there in high school and even in college, so they overpower people. You can't do that when you get to the major leagues. Everybody's just as good, if not better than you. So you have to develop your secondary pitches. A lot of guys only have 2 pitches going into, college. They don't rely on it. Like I just said, they just blow people away. So to develop like a slider or a curve or a change, it's something special if you can do that. But a lot of the times they don't develop it. And, and I think that's why they get beat up a lot. And then their arms get, overworked, I feel, too.
Yeah, I think baseball is so much more difficult to scout than, say, football or basketball because it's so much more of a mental game and a skills game than it is athleticism like basketball and football. And also, if you're evaluating high schoolers, they're 17, 18 years old. I mean, every single one of those guys is going to grow and fill out, and, their body's going to change from that time. Not to mention the difference in baseball between, say, baseball in the Lehigh Valley, high school baseball in the Lehigh Valley compared to high school baseball in Southern California. It's night and fucking day. And that, that's another huge factor. I mean, that's why Mike Trout fell to the number 25th pick because he was a Jersey guy. If he had been in California, he'd have been number one overall.
Yep.
So, not even to mention, the fact that high schoolers are still using high school and college are still using wooden or metal bats. That makes a difference between a lot of guys. Some guys could never make the adjustment to the wood. Mm-hmm. So it's a bunch of different things, and it is what it is. I think when it comes to StatCast and all that kind of new technology, I think it's going to be getting better, but it's still far from an exact science.
And wouldn't you think it's fair to say that you're trying to project somebody's talent wise from when they're 17, like you said, up until most guys don't make it to the majors till they're like 24. So you're looking like 7 years down the road on projecting how this kid's game's going to develop. And you touched on it too. High school baseball is way different from when you're playing in the majors. When you're playing college football and then going into the NFL, the game doesn't translate. It's not that much different, I feel, than it is with baseball.
Right. Let's put it this way. The SEC is much closer to the NFL than the average high school league is to Major League
To
Baseball.
major leagues, yeah. It's a huge jump. I mean, they're on whole completely different levels.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing too is the pitchers, they normally develop their secondary pitches in the big leagues, correct? Like once they get into the system and stuff. So you're drafting somebody based on their arm. You don't even know if they can develop secondary pitches or not.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, a lot of coaches and probably smartly don't allow their guys to even throw like a curveball or a splitter or whatnot until they're 16, 17, 18 years old.
Yeah, so you're not developing at a young age.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Before we close the show, you guys got any sleeper prospects that you guys have an eye on?
Oh man, I really want to see how this Adam Hazley kid does. The guy we just drafted 8th overall.
Yeah, we really didn't talk about him. Oh well.
You know, but he's got a game mirrored to Mickey Moniak and much of Christian Yelich, whose name has come up in trade talks. He's a guy that hits for average. He was a two-way player in college too. He pitched and he played outfield. So I know out of high school he was mainly a pitcher, but now he wants to really focus on hitting. So I think that's great. Like, what a talent to be able to do both. But once he gets that arm strength back and be able to hone in on the hitting of to hone in on the zone, this kid has just got a really smooth stroke. But it's interesting to see if they'll keep him and Moniak because they're the same player essentially. But I think he's going to fly through the levels because he's a college player. We have kind of strayed away from that. When we were successful, we drafted college players. When we won the World Series, I would say, from our previous successes, the Phillies. So you want to really go after college players because they can fly through the majors a lot quicker or through the levels of the minors rather than a high school player is going to take a lot longer to develop.
You got any guys?
You done? Yeah, if there's a sleeper, I don't know, maybe like a Cole Stabby, which we kind of mentioned. The one guy out there who is still really young for his level and has just been improving is that Carlos Tocci.
Yeah.
But he's 6'2", 160 pounds. If he ever puts on weight and adds a little pop, then I think maybe you have something there. But I mean, I don't see more than like a 4th outfielder type right now. I wish I had the ability to watch, all these games at all these different levels. It's I'm just making opinions off of stats for the most part. So
I've watched him play actually, and he really could be insurance for us for Roman Quinn. He mirrors Roman Quinn's game a lot. I mean, he's got a little bit of pop for how scrawny he is. He can get on base, and he's got speed for days. And it doesn't look like Roman Quinn is such a talented player. He can't stay healthy. He's just been bitten by the injury bug so much. So he's kind of like a lost cause at this point. So if we can hold on to Tucci, he could be a nice little leadoff hitter for us somewhere down the road.
He's 21 at AA. He's played 87 games at AA this year, and his slash line is 310, 371, 410. So, like I said, it's not bad. Obviously, you want him to hit for more power, but at 160 pounds and 21 years old, there's plenty of room to add strength.
Yeah. I'll throw a name out there. I don't know if he's going to amount to anything, but I'm just looking through some stats and some guys. So Adonis Medina, however you say his name, he's got 97 strikeouts this year and 81 innings pitched. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, he's for the Threshers, right? He's on the Threshers, or is he down at Lakewood still?
He's at Lakewood. Single A, Blue Claws.
Yeah, I've heard his name come up. I really haven't watched much of him play because, like I said, I've been to one Lakewood game. I know he was there last year, but I didn't get to see him pitch. I've heard he's got nasty stuff. Now, I don't think he has an overpowering pitch like a fastball. He relies more on the slower pitches like the curve and the slider, what I've read on him.
6'1", 185, another malnourished kid.
Yeah, we don't really have a big power guy, like a big power pitcher, so it will be interesting to see if we do that in the draft this year.
Are all these guys living in Africa? What the fuck?
It's crazy. You got to start beefing these kids up with some steroids or something.
Seriously.
Let's not forget that some of these pitchers are turning into bullpen guys too. And
right.
This could be one of them.
In today's
got
game.
97 strikeouts, 81 innings.
Yeah, which translates to a bullpen piece if you wanted it to. So we'll see. And
our future closer is going to be Vince Velasquez.
Probably.
Well, it could be. I mean, you look at what the Indians did last year with Andrew Miller and whatnot, and what the Yankees are doing this year with their bullpen. Teams are more so just looking for pitchers to give them 5 innings and then piece together the bullpen from there.
You look at the Kansas City,
really how the game,
how they won the World Series. They had all those bullpen guys. Basically, you went 6 innings. The game was over.
Yeah, pretty much. They had all lights out. 7th, 8th, and 9th.
Yeah, that's how
I think eventually
they built their team. They built their team through the bullpen. So you're seeing a lot more teams do this, actually.
I think that we're actually eventually going to have a time when there's not really starters and relievers. There's just the pitching staff, and you just mix and match and piece together a couple innings here, a couple innings there, just for matchup and.
Oh my God, we're going to have 5-hour games.
Well, no, that might speed the game up. Hopefully, if they do that, they won't be all this changing in and out. I mean, that just drags this game along. It's brutal.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
I got
That's
nothing.
the elephant when it comes to patience.
I got nothing else on the agenda. You guys got anything else you want to talk about?
I pretty much say what I had to say.
I think we just went for almost an hour, so we got it in.
Yeah, we hit every position, so.
Yeah, we did. All right, let's do final thoughts then, and let's get out of here.
Final thoughts. I would like to see Nick Williams' success go throughout the whole year. Like I said, he was my favorite player in the Cole Hamels trade, and he might end up being the only successful one other than Alec Asher, the way it looks like it. But I know I really hope pulling for this kid, and I hope he becomes something special. And we don't trade him for I'd like Stanton on the team. I'm not going to say that. If he's in the deal, I'd take Stanton. I'm going to change my my stance on that. Stands for Stanton.
There you go. Tony?
My thoughts. This is kind of obvious, I guess, but I would say from here on out, from this point now until basically this point next year, is going to kind of sort of define Clentak, because he's really going to be able to shape the future of the team, doing whatever they do at the deadline here, this offseason, and next deadline. Which will put them in place to potentially sign up, Bryce Harper, Machado, whatever. But it's really, what they're going to have around that potential superstar. So I would say that his future of the team really comes down to this next year to see if he'll be a successful GM or not.
All right. Well, my final thought, I'm going to talk about Sexto Lascano, since nobody seems to know who he is. So he played for the Phillies in 1983, the team that won the NL pennant, the Wheeze kids, so to speak. He was in a platoon with a guy named Joe Lefevre. Now, the coolest thing about Sexto Lascano, he used to play for the Padres. He lost his job to Tony Gwynn.
Yeah.
That's
awesome.
Sexto Lascano. So Sixto Sanchez is going to come up, and he's going to overtake Lascano as the best Sixto in Phillies history.
I hope so, because that's a rare. I mean, rare to have two. Sixto, are they both named Sixto? What's the other guy's name?
Sixto, yeah.
They're both named Sexto?
Sixto, yeah.
That's awesome to have two guys in the organization with that unique name.
They might be the only two guys named Sixto in the entire freaking universe.
They could very well be.
I actually know that now.
There's three. There's three of them. Who knows? That might be a common name down in Venezuela.
Yeah, it's not that uncommon for Latino countries.
Sexto Lascano.
It's probably.
I just showed how much of a loser I am too, because I watch old games. I do it regularly. I watch old Phillies games. I watch old Eagles games. I do it all the time. So I love seeing how the game has changed and evolved and all that. So that's why I like watching old games.
For the wonder years for all the Philly teams too, we were all good. Every sports area of the sports, they were all good.
Yeah, 1980, they all went to the championship.
Yeah.
Dude, watch an NFL game today compared to even 20 years ago. It looks totally different.
No comparison.
Everything.
I was watching a game with Randall Cunningham in it. They used to have a in the grass rule that was very, very lenient. Basically, all you had to do was kind of just have him in the grass. And there was a run where Randall Cunningham, he got out of the grass and he went downfield. He gained 30 yards, but they called it in the grass. The sack. Like, that's the kind of shit you had to deal with in the 80s.
You know why? Because he was such a dynamic player,
man.
and they
basically probably changed the rule because of him, because of Randall.
God, imagine if Vic had that rule. He wouldn't have had the success that he did. So he could thank Randall for that.
If you had a guy wrapped up for like a second, he would have been called down.
That's so corny.
That was the NFL back then.
That's not fair. Just because he was, way before his time. They didn't see a player like the Rubber Band Man.
Randall Cunningham was so good. Oh, my God. Cunningham, honestly, was probably better than McNabb.
I can get behind that.
But, people are probably going to disagree with me. A lot of people are disagreeing with me lately. I got the Eagles going 8-8. They're fucking burned down my house. So
I agree with you. I don't see them doing anything special. 7-9, 8-8.
Just because they have NFL caliber players at each position doesn't mean they're good. Like we always confuse like, oh, they filled a position with, did they fill it with somebody good? Like, there's such a huge fucking difference.
Eagles.
For me, I don't trust the secondary. I don't trust the cornerbacks, and it's like everyone keeps telling me, "Wow, their defensive line is beastly." Well, it don't fucking matter if those cornerbacks can't cover a 3-step drop. How is the pressure going to get to the quarterback if you can't stop a 3-step drop? If that's the same problem last year, I mean, fuck, man.
Especially with a guy that doesn't blitz. He doesn't blitz ever.
And if I hear one more person say that Blunt is going to be so great because he had 18 touchdowns last year for the Patriots, I'm going to slap him in his face because that's such a retarded logic.
Well, he's not getting like 1,000 yards or he's not getting all those touchdowns, but I think he will be like important. It's only 3rd and 1, 4th and 1.
Oh, I mean, I'm not saying he won't be important. But
okay, I see what you mean.
Touchdowns because he played for the Patriots.
I know exactly what you're talking about because like Mike Gillislee is going to go there and he's going to score like 12 touchdowns for them.
Yeah.
But anyway, we got completely off topic. How did this even start? God, I'm starting to get haters, man. Like I had 4 dislikes on my fucking video yesterday. Like what the fuck is wrong with people?
Who cares? Who cares what they think?
They just don't like hearing it. And then it's like. And then when I'm right, it's like you don't hear it at all.
No, you won't. That's why you just stick to what you believe in, man. Just stick.
Like I took a lot of heat last year. I said 6-10. They went 7-9.
Yeah, they're definitely going 7-9 or 8-8 this year. They're not making the playoffs. They're not winning the NFC East. People need to get off the train, drinking the juice.
I mean,
and even if they like big, like they're still so far away from winning a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Like, frankly, it's not that hard to win a division in the NFL. Like, whoop-de-doo.
And you're in a tough division. The NFC East is a very tough division.
Yeah.
Well, if they go 10-6, I'll be ecstatic. So,
yeah.
Is it possible? Sure, of course. Anything's possible, like Kevin Garnett said.
It's sad that Ezekiel Elliott punching someone in the face like makes an entire city just like crazy happy because he might be suspended a game or two. Like, wow.
No, matter me and you could run for 1,000 yards behind that line.
Fuck Zeke. Fuck Zeke. All right, we're ending this show because now we're just like, now we're just bullshitting.
Yeah.
All right, we're ending it. This probably went over an hour. Tony Del Grosso, Kyle Gaffner, I'm Adrian Fedque. I probably just got dislikes on the video because I talk shit on the Eagles again, huh? Fuckers. Peace out.
Later.